He had hunted for him all he dared all these years, but when he got here you were gone. I mean the baby was gone, and I had to tell you, Freckles, for you see, it might have happened to you like that just as easy as to that other lost boy." Freckles reached up and turned the Angel's face until he compelled her eyes to meet his. "Angel," he asked quietly, "why don't you look at me when you are telling about that lost boy?" I didn't know I wasn't," faltered the Angel. "It seems to me," said Freckles, his breath beginning to come in sharp wheezes, "that you got us rather mixed, and it ain't like you to be mixin' things till one can't be knowin'. If they were tellin' you so much, did they say which hand was for bein' off that lost boy?" The Angel's eyes escaped again. It was the same as yours," she ventured, barely breathing in her fear. Still Freckles lay rigid and whiter than the coverlet. "Would that boy be as old as me?" he asked. "Yes," said the Angel faintly. "Angel," said Freckles at last, catching her wrist, "are you trying to tell me that there is somebody hunting a boy that you're thinking might be me? Are you believin' you've found me relations?" Then the Angel's eyes came home. The time had come. She pinioned Freckles' arms to his sides and bent above him. "How strong are you, dear heart?" she breathed. "How brave are you? Can you bear it? Dare I tell you that?" "No," gasped Freckles. "Not if you're sure. I can't bear it. I'll die if you do." The day had been one unremitting strain with the Angel. Nerve tension was drawn to the finest thread. It snapped suddenly. "Die!" she flamed. "Die if I tell you that! You said this morning that you would die if you didn't know your name, and if your people were honorable. Now I've gone and found you a name that stands for ages of honor, a mother who loved you enough to go into the fire and die for you, and the nicest kind of relatives, and you turn round and say you'll die over that. You just say dying and you'll get a good slap." The Angel stood glaring at him. 1 second Freckles lay paralyzed and dumb with astonishment. The next, the Irish in his soul arose above everything. A laugh burst from him. The terrified Angel caught him in her arms and tried to stifle the sound. She implored and commanded. When he was too worn out to utter another sound, his eyes laughed silently. After a long time, when he was quiet and rested, the Angel commenced talking to him gently, and this time her big eyes, humid with tenderness and mellow with happiness, seemed as if they could not leave his face. "Dear Freckles," she was saying, "across your knees there in the face of the mother who went into the fire for you, and I know the name, old and full of honor, to which you were born. Dear heart, which will you have first?" Freckles was very tired. The big drops of perspiration ran together on his temples, but the matching Angel caught the words his lips formed. "Me mother." She lifted the lovely pictured face and set it in the nook of his arm. Freckles caught her hand and drew her beside him, and together they gazed at the picture while the tears slid over their cheeks. "Me mother, oh, me mother, can you ever be forgiving me? Oh, me beautiful little mother!" chanted Freckles over and over in exalted wonder until he was so completely exhausted that his lips refused to form the question in his weary eyes. "Wait!" cried the Angel with inborn refinement, for she could no more answer that question than he could ask. "Wait, I will write it." She hurried to the table, caught up the nurse's pencil, and on the back of a prescription tablet scrawled it: "Terence Maxwell O'More, Dunderry House, County Clare, Ireland." Before she had finished came Freckles' voice. "Angel, are you hurrying?" "Yes," said the Angel, "I am. But there is a good deal of it. I have to put in your house and country so that you will feel located." "Me house?" marveled Freckles. "Of course," said the Angel. Your uncle says your grandmother left your father her dower house and estate because she knew his father would cut him off. You get that, and all your share of your grandfather's property besides. It is all set off for you and waiting. Lord O'More told me so. I expect you are richer than McLean, Freckles." She closed his fingers over the slip and straightened his hair. "Now you are all right, dear Limberlost guard," she said. "You go to sleep, and don't think of a thing but just pure joy, joy, joy. I'll keep your people until you wake up. You are too tired to see anyone else just now." Freckles caught her skirt as she turned from him. "I'll go to sleep in 5 minutes," he said, "if you will be doing just one thing more for me. Send for your father. Oh, Angel, send for him quick. How will I ever be waiting until he comes?" One instant the Angel stood looking at him. The next a crimson wave darkly stained her lovely face. Her chin became a spasmodic quivering, and the tears sprang into her eyes. Her hands caught at her chest as if she were stifling. Freckles' grasp on her tightened until he drew her beside him. He slipped his arm around her and drew her face to his pillow. "Don't, Angel, for the love of mercy, don't be doing that," he implored. "I can't be bearing it. Tell me, you must tell me." The Angel shook her head. "That ain't fair, Angel," said Freckles. "You made me tell you when it was like tearing the heart raw from me breast. And you was for making everything heaven, just heaven and nothing else for me. If I'm so much more now than I was an hour ago, maybe I can be thinking of some way to fix things. You will be telling me?" he coaxed, moving his cheek against her hair. The Angel's head moved in negation. Freckles did a moment of intent thinking. "Maybe I can be guessing," he whispered. "Will you be giving me 3 chances?" There was the faintest possible assent. "You didn't want me to be knowing my name," guessed Freckles. The Angel's head sprang from the pillow, and her tear-stained face flamed with outraged indignation. "Why, I did too!" she cried angrily. "One gone," said Freckles calmly. "You didn't want me to have relatives, a home, and money." "I did!" exclaimed the Angel. "Didn't I go myself all alone into the city and find them when I was afraid as death? I did too!" "2 gone," said Freckles. "You didn't want the beautifulest girl in the world to be telling me." Down went the Angel's face, and a heavy sob shook her. Freckles' clasp tightened around her shoulders, while his face, in its conflicting emotions, was a study. He was so stunned and bewildered by the miracle that had been performed in bringing to light his name and relatives, that he had no strength left for elaborate mental processes. Despite all it meant to him to know his name at last, and that he was of honorable birth, knowledge without which life was an eternal disgrace and burden, the one thing that was hammering in Freckles' heart and beating in his brain, past any attempted expression, was the fact that, while nameless and possibly born in shame, the Angel had told him that she loved him. He could find no word with which to begin to voice the rapture of his heart over that. But if she regretted it, if it had been a thing done out of her pity for his condition, or her feeling of responsibility, if it killed him after all, there was only one thing left to do. Not for McLean, not for the Bird Woman, not for the Duncans would Freckles have done it. But for the Angel, if it would make her happy, he would do anything. "Angel," whispered Freckles, with his lips against her hair, "you haven't learned your history book very well, or else you've forgotten." "Forgotten what?" sobbed the Angel. "Forgotten about the real knight, Lady Bird," breathed Freckles. "Don't you know that? If anything happened that made his lady sorry, a real knight just simply couldn't be remembering it. Angel, darling little Swamp Angel, you be listening to me. There was one night on the trail